Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Tim Hawks. He's the managing director of Unlimited Potential, where he is a mental engineer and executive coach focusing on logical and practical solutions for challenging problems. I have Emily Rentas. She's the owner and founder at Paragon Solstice, where she is a transformational coach and mental health practitioner specializing in mergers and acquisitions. And I have Dr. Cole Galloway. He is a recovering academic working in social justice and disability, primarily with babies, as the founder at Go Baby Go. The question I have for you today: how does the average person feel every day? I don't love the word average, but I don't have a better word. So Tim, floor is yours. What do you think?
Thank you, Robyn. I sort of thought this through a little bit in your intro, and I thought to myself that I'm going to go slightly off piece to say, but we all know when we have anxiety, don't we? I think we do. Do we? I'm not sure, but I think we recognize we live in a world where there's a lot of anxiety. I think we definitely accept that. So therefore, people recognize something isn't right. So therefore, when we are average or in an average space or an average person, then is that a space that is without anxiety? And as such, we don't notice because it's not kicking us in the face.
Well, this is a great question because it's one of those koans, those shaggy dog stories that you have in Zen Buddhism. What's the sound of one hand slapping? You can get lost in the definitions. As I work and play within the disability community and have a foot in sort of a medical model world and a disability world and a research and academic world, is I'm struck by people talking about how what they feel is not reflected in other people's feelings, or that everybody else has it together. I wish I could get it together. When they get really authentic, they go, I just don't know if I should be here. I just maybe not suited for this, whether it's work or play. And then there's other communities also go, I don't always feel together. I know I'm old enough to feel stable. And as a mid-50s guy, I often feel like, man, I should be getting this together by now. And I'm often apologizing to my partner, my sweetheart, going, I'm sorry, honey, I'm just not handling this work issue or kid issue or family issue like I should. And when this question made me step back and go, wow, we probably all are, like as Tim said, so on this roller coaster. And wouldn't it be nice for us to be able to create workspaces specifically that allowed you to come in and just be you on a Tuesday?
But I think this question also, when I was hearing this, is the perception of what you deem as average and what you do with anxiety, that everybody deals with anxiety in a very different manner. So part of this is also, how do people respond to certain situations and what is deemed appropriate, and in the cultural settings and the social context and things like that. So it's difficult. It's very fluid sometimes, and it really depends on the person's experience and the perception of those who deem it as average.
When I thought about this, I thought about when someone asks me, how are you? And I don't mean in the American flippant, just how are you? Fine. Like, I don't mean like that. I mean somebody who really says, how are you? How often I answer, I'm weird today, or I have angst today, or today's something's off today. And then they say to me, why? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's just your experience.
Right. And I feel like, to Cole's point, I think more of us have that on a regular, consistent basis. I think that's more normal or average than any of us realize.
And I wonder whether you are on the journey towards more average by recognizing it and being able to say that, as opposed to going, get out of my face, or you running with the feeling, letting the feeling overcome you. I think by you being able to almost meta see it, look at yourself and go, not aligned today, and then being able to say not aligned today, that to me would suggest a movement towards more average than being swept along up and down on the roller coaster than you might be with those emotions.
You're getting caught up in the current of the moment, prisoner of the moment. There's a term of kind of getting caught up, and you're going along with it, and you're not being aware and mindful of like what got you here. So I always think about like like a dam that just exploded in like the river, and everything just like bursting down the river. It's just going everywhere. So the more that you can understand what your spectrum looks like, and also being compassionate that you fluctuate. Some people also feel that they need to always be in a certain state.
As many of my answers on these quick hits are about the social network that supports us, and the high ask, which is, wouldn't it be great to think of our work lives as being as much of a sanctuary as some of us have home lives? Like, think of that place where you really can answer truthfully, Robyn, how are you? And have the person go, yeah, that makes total sense. What can we do together? And it's like,
and I think
wow.
you talked about, didn't you, Cole, about authenticity, and I think flow comes in there as well. What's interesting is when we're in a state where we are comfortable with ourselves. I mean, I go, very rarely I'll have a few moments where I'm like, yeah, I've got this, I'm all powerful, look at me. And I've learned over the years to go, this is my moment, I love it, because it won't be long before the bank rings or somebody else calls or something goes wrong and I'm going to get slapped in the face. If we surround ourselves with people of a similar mindset, or people who make us feel good, a space where we feel nurtured, then it allows us to be in greater flow, and therefore for our authentic self to come out. And I also think when I'm feeling really strong and I've got this and I'm there and isn't this brilliant, I tend to ask less curious questions about how other people, that are selfish inquiry about, are you feeling the same? Oh, you're not. Oh, damn it. Oh, let me go and find somebody else who is. Whereas when I'm strong, I'm like, you can feel however you like.
Wow.
I'm here. I'll feel however I like. It's the whole, what is it? There's a book, isn't there? I'm okay, you're okay. That's it.
I think too, there's a bit of, for me at least, there's a bit of stoicism of, I can be weird or I can be whatever it is, and I know that it'll pass, but I can also be really, really great. And this is awesome. I try to remember, enjoy this because it'll pass.
Yeah.
I work with some very high performing clients, people who from the outside look like they have their act together. They are the cog in the wheel and it's rolling. And I know, because I get to see their green room, their backstage, they have these same issues.
Of course.
Yeah, Tim just laid a bomb on me of, when I feel good, he totally got it. When someone else is feeling off, it's like I've forgotten how it feels to be off. I'm like, wow. Versus, I'm feeling good. Let me go out and seek to see if my resources that I, for whatever reason this morning is going great, if anybody needs a little extra something, but how quickly I forget, what about if the whole thing was just celebrated as me? Like, we're human and we expect those fluctuations. That I talk a good game, that doesn't feel satisfying. To have all my crap and my beautifulness in one pot, I'd like to separate those a little bit, but that's silly.
But also not feeling responsible for other people's moods or shift in energy sometimes. And that's what happens, is not allowing your boat to be rocked when others are trying to rock their own. So part of this is also differentiating when allowing people to have their space and their moods and kind of how they're showing up, but also recognizing when you're taking on some of that or when you feel responsible for that. That's something that I found often that sometimes people struggle with, because they feel responsible that they need to answer or change the circumstances.
And all of that is learnable. I know that from personal experience, because even on a day where I'm having a weird day or an off day, if a client calls me, I have to be there and I have to be available for them. And I can't be off. I can't be like, sorry, can't work with you today. I'm not okay. That's not a thing. So it is definitely a learned ability to be able to say, I can be not okay and I can still be there for you if you need me to be.
Yeah, I remember a very intelligent guy said to me once, you're not born like that. You're born and fresh-faced into the world, aren't you? And whatever happens around you, I mean, there are some don't get me wrong, extenuating circumstances, but you learn an awful lot of your behaviors.
Yeah. And also what Emily said about, like, not becoming control, not jumping into that hole with the person. The trouble there is our brains are both individual and social. So from a brain scientist standpoint, why do people get so jacked up when other people do things? Do you really care which bathroom people go into? Well, you do, because we're actually one organism, not physically connected, but we're very much socially connected. I know cognitively I can't control anybody, but I'd like to control you, please. Would you stop doing whatever that is? Because it reflects on me. But Emily's talking truth. you can try to control, and that's just not, doesn't feel good. It's not effective. But boy, I just want to get in there and do it.
That is our 10 minutes. So I'm going to cut us off there. I want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me. It has made my day better than average. I'll speak to each of you again really soon.